aye. First order of business is roll call.
Member Bellows?
Present.
Member Kameri?
Present.
Member Harrington?
Here.
Member McGowan?
Present.
Member Downs?
Here. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the April 3rd, 2025 Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Harrington, second by Ms. Kamari. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Kameri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Motion passes. Next item is public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to address the board? Seeing none, we will pause public comment. Moving on to general business, administration, personnel and resignations and retirements. So I will, for a motion to accept the retirements of Dora Gates, day custodian, School Street School, and Deborah Corbett, paraeducator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kameri, second by Ms. Harrington. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Roll call.
Aye.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Kameri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, looking for the, look for resignations for Rachel Grover, paraeducator, Reach. Maureen Callahan, Reach. SLP, speech. Caroline Wilkins, second cook cashier, East Rochester. Lori Silvernagel, paraeducator. Kim Swenson, second cook cashier. James McGovern, English teacher, BCA. Allison Bryan, assistant superintendent. Samantha Osborne, art teacher. Kimberly Massaro, Unified Arts. Kathy Hodgkins, second cook cashier.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Kameri, second by Ms. Harrington. Discussion?
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Kameri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
All righty, next item is nominations. Casey Howden, preschool, pre-K, special education. Lindsay Bollier, special education, Spalding High School. Yvette Fulsick, federal grants manager account. Accountant, 50%. Laura Dawes, full-time custodian, Chandler Street School. Silas McIntyre, lacrosse, head coach. Ryan Bernier, tennis varsity head coach. Michael O'Brien, track, spring head coach. Darren Scopel, track, spring assistant. Dan Boley, track, spring assistant. And McGregor, basketball, 18 head coach. Any more motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Kameri,
Second.
second by Ms. Harrington. Discussion, Ms. Harrington.
I just have a question about the federal grants manager accountant. Is that someone who just resigned, or is it just the same first name?
It's the same person who resigned who's coming back half-time. So the next thing on the agenda is you'll see our updated job descriptions,
Okay.
and she's filling one of those
Okay.
that we've updated.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I was confused.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Kameri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, so before we move on, I do have some personnel. Obviously, we presented the budget to the city, and they had some questions about how top-heavy central office is and positions at central office. The questions I have is, Katie, if you can answer, it looks like, I'm guessing that's not the case, but it just appears this way, like, it looks like there's 2 secretaries for HR. Can you explain that for me? I'm not saying their names, but if you could just explain it for me.
Absolutely. So essentially, when I started in HR, the receptionist at the front desk wasn't per se aligned under a department. So when we aligned the departments, the receptionist at the front desk came underneath the umbrella of HR. So she is still the district receptionist who does that function. And then there is an HR secretary.
Okay.
So it's two different functions.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you very much to clarify that. All right. Any other questions under personnel? Actually, I did ask for, so we have all the culture and climate and wellness and instruction positions, but we have to, help me out, Sarah.
Yeah.
How we gotta move, and I think we're pausing some of them right now, and so I
So
just,
can we have an idea of how many unfilled instructional coaches, wellness instructors, climate culture specialists, how many of those currently are unfilled? And could we pause the dual-funded positions of those and have the ones filled come from operating budget only?
I don't have the exact number, it's on my computer, but we have paused everything. So we do have a handful of those positions that have been filled, but in terms, we have several that have not been filled, and so that's on pause for right now. Yeah, and I can get you the exact number of how many positions.
so yeah, next month, can we just have that for what schools were filled, what ones aren't,
And the second part of the question was,
Is the
can we
finance.
absorb that into the operating budget versus being paid out of the
The
jewel
jewel.
fund?
So we need to know how they're being funded,
Yeah.
please.
is that good? All right, next item is administration recommends the following job descriptions of junior accountant.
Thank you. I'll start, Adriana, fill in any gaps. These are all current positions. They're job descriptions that have needed to be reworked. Probably the only significant difference that I would highlight is that in looking at what we really need for grants management, there's a function of grants that's really about accounting, and then there's the writing and the managing, sort of the educational piece of it. And so we have worked collaboratively as a team to really parse out which positions would be covering which of those responsibilities. And again, it's not, I don't think it's any extra, correct me if I'm wrong, Adriana, I don't think it's any extra positions, it's just how the responsibilities are, which umbrellas they're under for each of the jobs.
Correct, like one of the job descriptions hadn't been reviewed since 2009, and I think the software that they were saying was like 20 years software, like it was specifically referencing, you know, the ability to use blah, blah, blah software, and that's been extinct for years. I just took it as an opportunity to look at all the people that are kind of reevaluating on what they're doing and what they really need to do, and just update it and modernize the positions.
Any other questions on that one?
So just to clarify for the public, to current position, already staffed, and in the budget, it's just an updated, revised job description.
The grants manager is not staffed right now. We needed this job description with the Title I piece in it before we could go ahead and post it,
Yeah.
so that's the only exception.
Mr. Bellis.
I'd make a motion that we, in one motion, approve an update of all 5 of the job descriptions listed under item 2 of administration.
Is the committee good with that?
Second.
All right. Speed things up. Motion by Mr. Bellis to approve under item 2 all 5 job descriptions. Second by Mr. Kamari. Any discussion on it? Ready? Roll call, please.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Kamari?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
Sorry, motion passes. Yep, my next item, I will pass over to Dr. Frank.
Thank you, and I may pass this over to KDQ if there are any gaps in this. This is our non-union employee handbook. These are, this lays out essentially in writing the benefits help me out, Katie, expectations for our non-union employees. That just hasn't been in a handbook, and so Katie and her team have done a marvelous job putting this together so that we have this document that's been actually badly needed, so thank you, Katie. Did I miss anything?
It's, anytime someone's hired or they have a change in pay or a change in position, you're required to put in writing what their salary is and all of their benefits. Previous to this, we didn't have a written document that showed the benefits that we were providing. So this is not new benefits, this is just a written document that is outlining what benefits non-union employees have and standardizing those so that it's equitable across non-union employees.
Any questions on that? So we'll be looking for a motion to move that to the full board.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bellows,
Second.
second by Mr. Mary. Any more discussion on it? Roll call, please.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Kameri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan? Yes.
Motion passes. Next item is finance report. I'll turn it over to Adriana.
Thank you. Any immediate questions on the finance report, DACA, that's given?
Go ahead.
May I ask a question on one of the job descriptions we approved? Number 5, grants manager and Title I coordinator, what's the funding source for that position? It's not listed on the job description.
The funding source will at least partially be grant funded, and that's why it's so crucial to have the Title I coordinator be part of the job title. And I don't know off the top of my head, is it 70% grant, 30%
Provided that it stays the same as it was with the previous.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, the 75% grant funded is not Jewel grant.
Correct.
It's federal grant
It's-
dollars. Yeah.
It's Title I, and that's why it needs to have Title I coordinator in the title, because in order to use Title I funds for it,
Yeah.
it needs to be part of the title.
Thank you.
Position.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry to go backwards.
No. Okay. We'll move on to then the financial commentary. I'll summarize as succinctly as possible. There is some information that I think, as that we're approaching the end of the fiscal year, that it's important to be shared as we're approaching the end, 2 more months now. We are at 84.62% of the fiscal year and have received 98.9% of our budgeted $74.79 million. As reported last month, I still am anticipating to be fall short of budget in 3 particular areas. However, and local revenue has made up for most of that, greater than $400,000. The current forecast is that we will be roughly $350,000 under budget in revenue. Moving on to expenses, salary expense, we have expended 81.1% of our budget, or $42.5 million. Our current forecast is a surplus of $1.5 million. This has been a number that we've kind of been going through, roughly $2 million. It would have been a greater surplus had we not had to transfer funds from salary expense to cover some special education needs throughout the year. From non-salary expense, we're again 84.62% into the fiscal year and have expended $74.4 million of our revised budget. If we factor in both the expended and the encumbered, we are at 96.9% of our budget. A little summary of what's been going on behind the scenes. All department heads were asked to encumber any purchases that they intend to make prior to the close of FY25. At this point, the only purchases that should be made outside of what is encumbered are typically repairs. And this is a new practice to the district. It's been a little bit of a process getting everyone to kind of understand the logic and the reasoning behind it, but ultimately I think it's best in order for us to supply a true forecast. Additionally, all department heads were asked to close any purchase orders that are complete or not be utilized. That would free up the funds then and become part of my analysis for surplus funds. Going forward, I do intend to compile an FY25 forecast every Friday afternoon. And our current forecast is a surplus of $450,000. So if we take roughly the 1.5 million from salary and 500,000, we're looking at $2 million surplus on the expense side. If we take out roughly $350,000 from the revenue side where we're falling short, we're looking roughly at like a $1.7 million surplus. And I have more information on this as we go down the road here. Any questions on the commentary that I supplied?
Just in your snapshot, the school board services, the 107,000 encumbered,
Yes,
is that on our legal,
correct.
and that's not final billing, correct, I imagine?
No, it was an estimate, and I'm not knowing the length of time. Mhm. Okay, thank you. Financial commentary. Financial snapshot. The only thing really on this page that I would like to say is down on the miscellaneous portion of the financial snapshot. I did present the FY26 budget to the City Council this week. Two main topics that I wanted to bring back to everyone is exactly as Ms. Harrington said, the Jewel funds and the possibility of using some of the unaccounted for unreserved funds for the sports complex. Additionally, some concerns were raised as to the lack of savings due to the closing of 2 schools. Any questions or comments on that? Yes.
Do you have a sense, or have you reached out to Jewel Legal about is the use of the Jewel funds, is spending those funds on the sports complex, is that allowable?
I have not, but I'm certain that it is in this particular case, but I do have a summary of it. Do you want me to go over that one now, or wait until it's on to the?
When you
Okay.
were planning on doing it?
Okay.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes.
Adriana did a really nice job in her budget presentation to the city council, and I thought you answered their questions very well, especially addressing their concern regarding not seeing an immediate savings closing 2 schools. I feel like you did a really nice job explaining the reasons behind that.
And all the questions that they asked, they did receive a summary and a worksheet for the next day as they had requested. So
Thank
that
you.
they have their workshop tomorrow and we'll see what comes of it on Tuesday night.
Thank you for doing
I
that.
know,
Sure.
we appreciate everything you did, because I know I wouldn't wanna be in that position trying to present this kind of budget to the city council, because we know they can be kind of, ask questions where you're not ready, because you don't know what they're gonna ask, so I think you did a great job, so thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. April projections, we can, again, I've already indicated to you that I am seeing roughly a surplus of $1.5 million in vacancy savings. So roughly for this month, $465,000. It starts to mean a little bit less, this number, as we get to the end of the year, because we're using the money for other things, but it's a vacancy savings nonetheless. And I think the next couple of topics is really where we're gonna learn some more information here. So what I did do on the Jewel 5-year forecast, in order to, I removed the grant writer and Title I coordinator from the Jewel fund settlement. Yep. And I was able to, what I did was I repurposed the money that was there to support the cameras at the high school. If you remember, we did not have that accounted for previously last month. We did receive a quote, and so that now has been built into the camera line. And I did that, the $470,000 was removed to fund the $354,000 for the cameras. So you're seeing that. What I did recommend in my responses to the City Council in FY26 keeping 2 positions that are already employees of the district and have not been budgeted in the general fund in FY '26, keeping that in the Jewel fund for the next fiscal year. However, removing all of the other positions that were identified and slated for FY '26 through FY '29, it is a $2.092 million, it opens up that much funds. So while we're asking for a $3 million bond, should the board or the city council, whomever, ask us to use that, we can fund $2 million of that $3 million using Jewel funds.
So that's the Director of Positive Youth, the FACE, Culture and Climate, Wellness, and Instructional?
No, the Director of Positive Youth and the FACE Director are the 2 positions that I would like to keep Jewel funded next fiscal year because they're not budgeted for in FY '26 because they're on the Jewel. So it's the first 2, starting with Culture and Climate and Wellness and Instructional Coaches in year 2, those, and then anything in year 3, 4, and 5.
I just know talking with a few of the city council members, those are the stuff that they're concerned about, with those if we can just look into seeing if moving those into the operating budget, those, I know those are the bigger ticket items, but that's, talking with city councils on the side, that's what they're concerned about, just how top heavy, in utilizing these funds for that. That's where they're looking at using this money for like the sports complex. They want to see more of that and not using in positions. So we
So
get.
you'd like for me to try to absorb, to find that dollar amount?
I think that's what they're looking for. They want to utilize Jewel for like.
I did, however, make the comment in my presentation about those 2 specific positions, and I'll do whatever you want,
No,
but
no,
it
no, no,
didn't
it's
seem to
just-
me that they,
I think we just need to make sure it's on our mind. I guess it's.
I think in our conversations also that we've had with the city, that what Adriana has proposed is in line, I believe it's in line with what they're looking for.
2 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Commander.
And to follow up on that, and I believe the intent I'll call Council Walker, who's they're familiar with hiring people under grants, and it's a matter of phasing them into your operating budget, and I think I've mentioned this previously, is with a plan. So whether it be year 2, we do, 70-30 operating budget, 70% grant, 60-40, down 50. But eventually getting, and if those 2 positions, we could show a projection of how we're going to phase those into the operating budget, I think would suffice what they're calling for at the council level. Because, they hate seeing grant money going to people, because what happens when the grant runs out, all of a sudden you get whacked with it. So the ultimate plan of phasing, of absorbing that into your budget, I believe would suffice the intent of what they're looking for.
and I did make that comment. I said that I had been given the directive that over the course of the time, we would slowly move those into the operating fund. My feelings was that they wanted to remove everything from the 2nd year to the 5th year.
Yeah,
But
in this
whatever-
situation, not so much grant, but the Jewel side. They're
Correct.
really looking to, like, talking with a few of them, they're just frustrated that we have so many positions using that Jewel money on positions.
Next, I have a summary of my first forecast for the FY '25. When comparing budget to my forecast, as you can see, I'm identifying $1.978 million in, in expenses, but a shortfall of $344,000 in revenue, which would make our surplus roughly $1.6 million. I've also given you an attachment of what surplus fund recommendations have been presented to me from administrators and from department heads. Some of the ones identified in red are items that are not budgeted in FY '26. The items that are presented to you in green are items that are budgeted in FY '26. But then also the corresponding documentation thereafter shows what each school has asked for and whether it's a need to have, a have to have, or a like to have. And also what the timeline is to receiving that from date of order, because we have to receive all of these things before June 30th in order for them to be applied towards this fiscal year. So the intention is for the cabinet and everyone to start taking a look at this, and as I update this forecast on a weekly basis, start taking care of some of the things that either are more costly or take longer to arrive into the district for delivery. There are two big things that I wanted to point out on this. The food services budget, tomorrow, again, as David mentioned, we'll be meeting with food services. As of right now, our revenue collected from food services is significantly under budget by roughly $700,000. Our expenses, however, do not change. So at this point, we have $190,000 in the general fund that we budgeted for a shortfall. The difference can be made up one of two ways, either funding the rest of it through the general fund, which we are obligated to deliver a break-even budget in food services, or we can use some funds in the, it's like a food reserve. I can't remember what the city, what the terminology is that they use. It roughly has enough to cover any deficit that we have if it doesn't in fact get to $700,000. But the city deputy finance director said they would probably require a vote from both the school board and the city council to use those funds to cover the deficit. So I am putting this in here as a placeholder just in case. I'm hoping that revenues kind of like starts to close that gap a little bit. Maybe we can reduce some, it's contractual, I think, with food services, so I don't know if there's much we can do on the expense side. But I just kind of wanted to call that to your attention. And then secondly, there was a request from McClellan School for a fence. We have not received a quote on that, so I really don't know how much that would cost.
Just so I don't forget, the last item on redistricting transition materials for students. So we're looking at over $1,600 for just,
I'm sorry, where are you looking?
just on the surplus. On this, that I clicked on the forecast and surplus funds listed. And,
On the consolidated one?
Which tab are you on?
Yeah, which,
Base,
I'm
last
on
one, line,
surplus funds, the backup for the surplus funds. And then, oh, I'm sorry, oh yeah, all the tabs. I don't know, the face.
Face tab.
Sorry for all the tabs. I just, the 16, so $1.50 was 1,600 of them, like, what are we getting here? What do we part?
for face?
Yeah, like, yeah, if you look at the last, like, face tab, the last,
Transition kit,
cells,
mini
transition,
suitcase.
like,
Yeah,
what
did
are we
you
looking
scroll?
at? Fidgets, postcard, it's,
Mini suitcase for each elementary student.
like, we're so tight right now with our budget, I'm like, is this stuff that's real?
So I believe
I'm
that these
sorry,
are
I'm
packets that
nitpicking,
are
but-
being given to students to promote the new school that they're going to. They're like welcome packets to the new school.
And the transition process of redistricting.
So, kids that aren't being redistricted don't get anything?
I think it covers them, actually.
1,600 students.
Okay, well, I'm
On
just,
the elementary school students.
okay. I get it, it's just,
Under nice to
it's nice to have. Okay,
have.
I was just curious what the reason for behind it.
I think it's just to celebrate our elementary school kids. There's a lot of transition and change, but we're all one district, and we want to do, even if we can do something little to really promote that we're a unified
Okay.
district, I thought that would be a good use of funds.
Okay.
Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Cusimano wanted me to ask, since he's not here tonight, the clubs, $8,000, I see that it's under school board tab.
Yeah, he had mentioned it too.
Okay, is the cabinet gonna be considering that when they meet?
Yeah, the entire list will be considered though.
Okay.
When will we have the list of where we're gonna be utilizing the surplus? Will that be next month, or will that be, because it's gotta be used by, everything's gonna be in by June 30th,
I think the goal is to start making weekly purchases towards,
right now.
as I update the surplus, the forecast every Friday, and we meet on Tuesdays as a cabinet, you know, we can review where is our current state right now, and make again, this is my first time, so I don't know who has the decision-making authority here, but the plan in my viewpoint would be to start taking a look at the list and assigning priorities and timelines on how long it will take for things to come in, and make a consolidated decision together. And then I would let them, I got an email for like a $62 thing, and I was like, I don't need to add that on the surplus list, just go and buy that chair, right? But I think that, you know, these higher ticket items are certainly things that we should be looking
I
at.
think, correct me if I'm wrong, we always put it like in the superintendent's office, getting back, feedback from the principals.
Mr. King?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bell.
No, thank you.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
If I may, you mentioned when we were talking about food services, an obligation to be level funded, or can you talk a little bit more about that? Where does that obligation come from? And
The National School Lunch Program.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Okay.
And this is just an informational update right now. I have been doing some work on the student activity funds, reviewing the guidelines, which I'll come back to you another time when things like kind of settle down. But I did want to bring up that I have been working with William Allen and School Street School on a spend down plan. The principals have given me what they intend to use to purchase before the schools are closed. And William Allen intends to also leave roughly $4,000 for Salmon Falls to give them a start to their student activity fund. And School Street also is intending to spend theirs down, and any balance that they have, the intention is to send it to Chamberlain, because that's where the majority of their schools are going. The other thing that I will need to do and have present to you, I've asked the principal at the high school, the class of 2018, 21, 22, and 24 still have balances in their student activity funds. Based on guidelines, within 1 year afterwards, those funds are supposed to be, a decision is supposed to be made by the class officers on what to do with those funds, either transferred or donated. I have asked, it's roughly $15,554. I'm working with the principal to kind of identify what they would like to do, but then it does require school board approval to actually put those transfers in motion. So just wanted to kind of bring that to your attention right now and let you know we're trying to clean up the student activity funds.
Mrs. Keys?
Yeah, how do you contact those graduates
At
and their
this
groups?
point, I think it's
Because
an
I know my
individual-
class set aside money for several years.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody came and
It's
tapped us
definitely
and asked
clean-
us about it, and then we finally made a scholarship out of it. But nobody came and asked us for those 7 or 8 years that we were collecting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a learning process. I don't, to my knowledge, it hasn't been done. There's no guidelines per se on what to do with it. It wasn't, the guidelines were not followed to begin with. It should have been before the class graduates, they should be identifying whatever they want to do with it at that point. But now going.
A portion of it, but
I'm sorry?
I think that happens with a portion of it, but they don't always want to spend it all on whatever the class votes to, as a donation, a gift, of building a statue out there, building a sign out there. No, that's not.
And there are alternatives, but they need to be addressed while the class is still there. You know, do you want to
Yeah,
transfer it to the next class? Do you want to transfer it to the principal's fund? Do you want to donate it to an organization? You know, and I don't know. There's no
Well,
policy on what to
I don't think
do.
anybody does that, so I think that's
Correct.
the problem. Nobody contacts the classes, either before they graduate or after.
But that's what I'm here for now.
It's the alumni association now.
There is no policy on what to, on
We
how
didn't
to
go to the
approach this
Alumni
cleanup
Association. My
exercise
class
at this
didn't.
point.
As a class, we didn't.
And if you have
Individual
recommendations,
members then.
otherwise, I can bring some solutions to you that Justin and I work on, or if you have some suggestions yourselves that you'd like to give me to bring back to him, you know, I'm open to them as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not your responsibility, actually. But we gotta set up a system where somebody actually talks to the classes. Either the ones that have already been out for 4 years or the ones that are coming on.
That's my presentation.
Non-union pay increases.
Oh,
Yes, I
that's-
have these, yeah, I have a
Okay.
handout for you. These are the central office, right, you get these every year.
Your class probably still has some money there. Yeah.
These are the regular 4% raise, except there are three that are just noted. There was one adjustment that we needed to make for a staff member to get them aligned to where, help me Katie, where they're supposed to be.
Yes, so
That's the one in purple,
the
remember?
one in purple, essentially, within our regular CBA, you have steps and increases that happen regularly. This particular individual does not fall under the teacher contract. It's a very unique situation, but essentially, I put the note in purple as well at the bottom to explain it. And if you guys want more information, please just let me know.
So, this is under next year's budget,
Yes.
so I know that city council questioned the superintendent's office increases. Is this taken into account in the increases they addressed in the superintendent's office?
Admittedly, I haven't seen that, so I would have to take a look at it,
Okay. Would those increases that were questioned the other night, city council and the superintendent? Why the
I think they were-
increase in superintendent's office?
So, I have some questions about this, but,
It should be
yeah,
non-public.
this should be non-public.
If there are specific questions, we can
Yeah, so
certainly
I'm-
go into
Yeah,
that.
we're gonna have to go, yeah, because there's, looking at this definitely should be non-public.
Questions regarding
Yeah,
the issue.
questions regarding this, because I just don't feel comfortable asking these questions in public.
So, yeah, I do have
So
answers.
can we just, we'll set this aside, and we won't go non-public just yet, we'll do non-public, we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
Because we have another, I gotta do all these from
Yeah.
operations.
Okay. All right.
So we'll just move that aside, and we'll move on to
4%?
other. Ms. Harrington.
I'll make a motion for finance committee to accept the facility supervisor job description with salary range. We have to discuss that though.
Motion by Ms. Harrington,
Second.
second by Ms. Canary. Now can we discuss the salary range?
I think
The
they had an
historical
idea.
one, I looked up the historical one, and it would be a salary range of $50,000 to $60,000.
So I'll add that to the motion with a salary range of $50,000 to $60,000.
Okay. Still accept the second. All right, there's discussion on it? Sorry.
That's currently in our next operating budget for that amount, because it's a current position that's just changing the job description. So the funding's there. All right.
All right, ready? Yeah, make sure it's not raising their hand. Okay, roll call, please.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Comeri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan? Yes.
Motion passes. Ms. Harrington?
I'll make a motion that the finance committee move to full board SUR as our sole source request. SUR? Oh,
I like sir.
I like SUR.
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 Site utilities and roads.
You said it last meeting, yeah, we'll roll with it.
Site utilities and roads.
Yeah, SUR.
Motion by Ms. Harrington.
Second.
By Mr. Cameri. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Cameri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan? Yes.
Great. Ms. Harrington.
I'll make a motion to move to full board consolidated communications in the amount of $20,100.
For the district-wide internet update.
Yes, for the district-wide internet.
Motion by Ms. Harrington,
Second.
second by Mr. Cameri. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Cameri?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan? Yes.
All right, I'll be looking for, I'm gonna reopen public comment. Say none for public comment.
I have another.
Oh, go ahead.
This is really for David and Adriana. So not right away, it's not a priority level one, but within the next year, we should consider looking at our CIP bonded unexpended funds and start going through that list, tracking current projects, past projects which have been completed, and transfer any unexpended funds to either similar projects of the same line item or return back to the city, so that that opens up future bonded projects.
Work in progress.
Awesome. Thank you. That was it.
Now, I'm gonna motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A32A.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Cameri, second by Ms. Harrington. Roll call, please.
Feel the minutes of that non-public.
Second?
Motion by Ms. Bills to seal the minutes, seconded by Ms. Harrington. Discussion. Roll call.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
Member Cameri?
Yes.
Member Keynes?
No.
Member-
No, no, she-
Oh, sorry, Member Harrington.
Yes.
Ready. Now, motion.
I'll make a motion to table the non-union pay increases until full board next Thursday.
Second.
Motion to table by Ms. Harrington, second by Mr. Cameri. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, roll call.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member Cameri?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes. Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion by Ms. Bell to adjourn, second by Ms. Harrington. Roll call.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
Member Cameri?
Absolutely.
Member Harrington?
Yes. Good night.